we added, so half of this book is the emptiness meditations. And then at the end of the emptiness meditations, Choni Lama says, you know, you guys really should learn the correct method for meditation. And I don't have time to tell you what it is. So we went and we got the 3 greatest books on how to meditate. So 50% of this book is how to meditate on emptiness. And 50% of this book is the greatest instructions in history on how to meditate, step by step, every detail on how to meditate. And that's by Nagarjuna, wrote a book called How to Meditate. Kamala Shila stole the name, and he called it The Steps of Meditation. Both books are called the same. Kamala Shila wrote 3 of them. And then Pabonka Rinpoche and Tsongkhapa wrote the detailed version of those 2 books. And then Trijang Rinpoche, who's my teacher's teacher, who wrote down Pabonka Salam Rim, he did this amazing chart of how to meditate. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, man. It's kind of hard to turn the pages. Here we go.
I'm amazed you got that printed.
Hey, that was Nick and Vimala.
Wow.
And Vimala camped out at Staples yesterday. So there's the meditation chart designed by Kamala, based on Nagarjuna, designed by Kamala Shila, and then carved by Trijang Rinpoche following Pabonka Rinpoche's instructions. All 4 books are in this book. So all the greatest books on how to meditate are in this one book that she just finished, and it's really awesome. Let me see here. Anyway, we took and Earl and Hector are in New Jersey this weekend at the Mongolian temple, taking better pictures of the chart, okay? Because we want to add the chart in the book where the pieces come.
Yeah.
So all the pieces of the chart have the commentary in Betsy's book, and it's incredible. It's all the details on how to meditate. Here's and we got the translation done of all the pieces of the chart are in the book. Okay, so the crazy elephant comes from a verse by Kamala Shila, and so if you're going into a 3-year retreat again, Utpala, if you don't have anything else to do,
please.
Ben Kramer and Mrs. Ben Kramer, Kendra. But anyway, I wish I had this when I went into my 3-year retreat, because it's totally complete. And I think it's one of the most important books ever done. I really do think so. I really believe that. And I'll tell you a funny story, okay? So Kappa had this idea. He said, I'm going to write down all the proofs of emptiness. And he finished. And then he said, we should write a book to go with that book called How to Meditate. So then he wrote a second book on how to meditate, and he put them together just like this. And then It's called, by the way, this is a book on shamatha and vipassana, right? 50% each. And then Manjushri came to him and said, you know what? That's a great book. You know, you got like right here, you got 220 pages on vipassana, and you got 220 pages on shamatha. You know what, Tsongkhapa? That's perfections number 5 and 6. Why don't you add perfections 1 to 4? And we'll call it the Lam Rim, you know? So that's how the Lam Rim got written. It's amazing. So Tsongkhapa had the same idea that Betts and me had, you know, translate all the proofs of emptiness. That's the Vipassana section. Then add all the technique about how to meditate from Kamala Shila, who brought it to China, West China, right? Who went to West China and brought meditation, and just put those together. So I guess now Utpala's next project is to finish Keduj's long explanation of emptiness, much more detailed than this. So, progress report of her book. And by the way, you guys should send her some congratulations or something.
To you.
Nah, we did it together. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't do it. Here's our update for Utpala's book. Her book is going to be 2,114 pages. We're going to split it up into 5 books, the same size as the book I just showed you. So her new book is 5 times longer, and it's about emptiness. The whole thing's about emptiness. It's unbelievable. It's one of the greatest presentations ever. Oopsie. My wife is throwing things in the kitchen. But I think your first book, Utpala, will finish in 1 year. 1 year from now. Okay?
Oh, wow.
Yay.
Oh, do you think I'll be done editing
you know,
Sugang and Ben's text by then?
Yeah, we can finish those, no problem. That's no problem. We just got to be able to print the books. So we gotta beef up printing stuff. All right, that's up to Variable Jigme and Katie. All right, here we go. We were on this section, okay? And I'm just gonna translate it here. Section number 1 was, why do we need to understand emptiness? Section number 2 is, how cool you are gonna be after you understand emptiness. Even if you just want emptiness, you are already a cool person. Third one is, well, what kind of person is gonna be crazy enough to come to translator class? And really, that's section number 3. Where do you find people out of billions of people? Where do you find the 100 or 200 people who are crazy enough to come to translation class? That's section 3. Section 4 is, let's get on to emptiness. Let's start talking about emptiness. And we've reached section 4, okay? So the crazy people described in section 3 have reached section 4. So we're about to step into the 2,000-page explanation of emptiness by Tsongkhapa's great student, Kiruje. Okay, here we go. Who's checking you? Inna, can you check this lady's pronunciation, please?
Shepard, Jawe, Che Mula, Dong Den Dong Nghe Den Ki, Sung Rak Nge Sungwa, Papa Ludrup Ki Sung Tang De, Gongdrel Jitar Jungwa, De Jesu Dong De Dong Bani Tanlan Pak Bao.
Oh, by the way, one thing I wanted to say about this book, you got to have muscles just to pick it up. I think we should all thank our dear sponsor, our very, very dear sponsor, main sponsor, And this is a gift to you, our main sponsor, and we just want you to know that we are working really, really hard. This was 12 hours a day for many, many days. And that's an offering to our sponsor. We really want to thank you. And without you, we wouldn't be able to do this. We'd have to go work in a cafe or something. All right, or a yoga studio. Okay.
You should have received copies already.
Yeah, and we really want to thank you and bow down. Okay. All right. So what's Yupa mean? Utpala?
The fourth, we're going to explain the fourth.
Yeah, Chunla means, let's get to the real topic here, okay? That we want to explain. Shepa Jiao is future participle, that we want to explain. First of all, let's divide between Changden and Ngeden. We just had it in Sage's text.
Right, the literal and the figurative.
Yeah, good. Let's try to distinguish between what the Buddha said and he meant what he said, and what the Buddha said and he didn't mean what he said, okay? Sungwa means teachings by Buddha. Musungwa means let's identify. Musungwa means like to identify someone you're looking for or something like that. Okay? Let's identify what is it that you have to interpret and what is it that you don't have to interpret. You can take it literally, okay? First section. Second section. Let's go look at the great books by Pakpa Ludwig.
By a Sangha.
Whoa, Ludwig.
No, Arya Nagarjuna.
Yeah, Arya Nagarjuna, good. And by the way, I think our translation group should slowly put together all the books by Nagarjuna. And I'm hoping that Nick will agree to go on to another book by Nagarjuna. There's about 10 that we should translate. So now Nick has almost finished one, and Utpala just finished the second one. So we can keep going through all of these books. So he says, let's look at the great books by Shung, by Arya Nagarjuna, and then let's look at the Delpas.
And the commentaries.
Yeah, let's see how the commentaries happened in history that commented on his Gomva, okay, on Nagarjuna's true intent. What did Nagarjuna really have in mind? Let's look at those commentaries. And then let's go study Dombani.
After that, let's go study Emptiness.
Yeah, following those books, okay? Jesudang means
following those books, okay.
Let's follow Nagarjuna and let's follow the people who wrote commentaries after him, meaning Asanga, Vasubandhu, Dharmakirti, Chandrakirti, Bhava Viveka, Buddha Palita, and Tsongkhapa. All right, here we go. So we're about to start the discussion of when do you know that the Buddha meant what he said, and when do you think he didn't mean what he said? Okay, here we go. Please read. Allison, can you correct your pronunciation? Utpala, can you mispronounce something purposely to keep her awake?
Sure. Tangponi, te konani tokpar depa namki ni gawe sung rabla burton de gusla.
Wait, nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
Must
Tengula.
be a time delay on the satellite.
Yeah. Sung rab kyang dulchan natso ki sampe wang ki na sogspa yin pe na. Sokpa yin pe na. Jindrawa shikla tene sabmoy dun sel war janyam na. Ngepe dun ki sungrab la tene selwar jao.
Good. Okay. For den, try to make it without aspiration. Den.
Oh, then.
Okay, here's the first one. Let's get into when did the Buddha mean what he said, And when was the Buddha trying to make it simple for dummies in class? Okay, like us. Okay. Dekona ni topa depa nam. Those guys and ladies who want to topa dekona ni. What's that mean?
Those who want to realize suchness.
Nice. Okay. You're gonna have to rely on Gyalwe Sungram.
The teachings of the Buddha.
Yeah, good. But don't forget that those teachings were adjusted according to the capacity of the student. Okay, not sok means, Duljan not sok means, look, there were all kinds of students 2,000 years ago, and Sampe Wanki, due to the differences in their intelligence, Buddha had to teach not sok. What's that mean?
He had to teach various ways.
Yeah, and some of them are not technically correct. Okay, the Buddha is not dumb. He got up in front of the audience. Sometimes he started to teach the pen, and they all look confused. So he made it more simple. Sometimes he made it so simple that technically it's not correct, okay? But it helped the students, okay? So, Jindawa Shikla Tene Samadun Sawachanyam, that means, look, he gave all kinds of presentations, not so, to different kinds of students, not so. Then which of them should we be reading, and which of them should we not be reading? Okay, Nyamna, okay, if you want to know that, I tell you, you should be reading the Ngeden ones.
The essential one.
The ones where he said what he
meant.
What he really meant. That's called Ngeden, okay?
Oh,
read
for certain, what he
ones.
said with certainty?
Yeah, exactly. Ngeden, Nityartha, but read the ones where he said what he meant. Don't listen to the recordings of the lectures he gave to the business people at Verizon Telephone, which I did one time. You know, that he was just making it simple for them. It wasn't totally accurate, okay? So please stick to the Ngeden, stick to the ones where, you know, he wrote, stick to these teachings, okay? And don't always go for the simplest one. Okay. Next question, next 110. Please read. Allison, we're waiting for you to correct her.
Okay.
Ona Jindrawa Shik Nepe Dun Yin La. Jin Yin Jindrawa Jik Shik Drangwei Dun Yin Shena.
Translate that, Utpala, just slowly. Think about it. It's a question from the reader. It's a question from the reader.
If someone
Jindawashi means, well, which one is?
Which ones are what he meant to say.
Good. And which ones are?
And which ones are figurative.
Yeah.
If you were to ask which ones, is that right? If you were to ask?
Exactly. Okay, so somebody comes and says, hey, there's a lot of teachings by Buddha. Which ones are the real ones? And which ones are the ridiculous simple ones that aren't technically correct? Okay. Well, how do we know which is which? Okay, that's one of the biggest subjects in the last 2,000 years. Okay. All right, I'm going to combine this next section. Here we go. Okay, please go ahead.
Lila niente dewa. Depa kachikni Gyalwe sung rab tamche nghe đừng conan yin ki trong way
Okay, let's just treat that. Let's just talk about that much, okay? Here we go. Niente de Pakachi, some of the groups which are niente.
From the listeners.
Yeah, and that normally means like Abhidharma or something like that, okay? Like the lower groups. They say all the Sumrab is Nieten.
All the teachings of the Buddha are what he meant to say.
Yeah, anything the Buddha said, you can take it literally, okay? And they say, do this little piece.
But, right? But, is that
Good.
key a but?
Key. It is exactly a but with one T.
Thank goodness for that.
Just read this tiny little piece here.
But it's impossible that everything, no.
Yeah, they say it's impossible to have Gungan.
It's impossible that he would speak figuratively.
Good. Yeah, it's impossible that the Buddha would ever say something that he didn't mean. And when you think about it, you could have a big debate when Buddha simplified, or when Utpala simplifies her presentation because the audience is confused. Well, isn't that also to be literal, Garrett? I mean, it's not a stupid position.
No, it's not.
Maybe it was just as intentional as the intentional stuff. You see what I mean?
But
yeah,
it certainly was intentional.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it's not figurative.
Yeah, exactly. It's intentional, but not figurative. I like that. Okay. So some people say, look, everything the Buddha ever taught, we have to take it on face value. We have to take it literally. There's no such thing as Buddha simplifying something so much that it's technically wrong. That's not possible. Now, other people, Kachi, let's read this next little piece.
Kachi ka change ni ka yepandu to she.
Yeah, and some other people say, no, there's both, Changden and Ngeden.
There's both figurative and literal.
Yeah, so some people say, look, everything Buddha said was literal. And then some people say, no, some of what he said was literal, and some of what he said was figurative. Now, who describes the situation like this? Okay, She means describing the situation in the Buddhist schools of the first 1,000 years after the Buddha, okay? Somebody's saying, look, some guys thought everything Buddha said was technically correct. And then some guys said, look, some of it's not technically correct. He's just trying to simplify for people. Then who reports this situation? Toge Barwa.
Mm-hmm.
Ben knows.
Yeah.
Blaze of reasoning.
This is called the blaze of reasoning. Toge means the logical method. It's a synonym for nyaya, I guess, logic. And there's a book called The Blaze of Reasoning, which is by, I forget, is it Baba Viveka, you guys, I guess?
Yeah, Baba Viveka.
Okay. So who describes this situation where some Buddhist schools say everything Buddha said was what he meant to say, and some Buddhist schools say, no, you have to learn to distinguish between what he meant to say and what he didn't mean to say. Who said that was the situation? Well, Tsongkhapa said it, but somebody else said it 700 years before him, in a book called The Blaze of Reasoning, okay? Let's read this next section. Data.
Dedak tamchek chang. Change ni ki dun ni dra ji shindu sungtu rung mirung nilan de ching tekpa chenpoi de ne ni sangye ki kamayin par de la.
Okay. And all of those guys, Dedak Tamche, okay, also are trying to debate what does it mean to be literal? What's the meaning of literal? Okay, what does it mean to be literal? Tangeki din, what's it mean? And it means da jishin de sung rung mi rung. Can you take the Buddhist statements as something we should accept right away or not? That's the meaning of tongue, the study of interpretation, okay? When you put the words literal and not literal together, when you put the two words literal and figurative together, you can translate it as the art of
Reasoning.
Interpretation.
Interpretation.
Okay? The art of interpretation, okay? And somebody said, well, what do you mean art of interpretation? It says, well, can you take what he said literally or not is what we call the art of interpretation, okay? And
so dra means
yeah.
draji shintu. That means
Draji means literally.
Means like what it sounds like or something? Means what it sounds like?
Yeah, exactly. Just what it sounds like. Yeah. You can take the words at face value. It means take the words at face value. Here, dra means words. Okay. Can you take the words at face value? And there's an interesting attempt to distinguish between literal and taking at face value. Some people try to distinguish between those. Okay. So that's another problem. Okay. But we're not going there.
Rung mi rung ni, does that mean like appropriate by itself or not?
Yeah, it means appropriate. Is it exactly appropriate or not? Or ni can also make it a noun. Don't forget, the appropriateness of taking it literal or not. You see what I mean? You can make a noun with ni. It's like ta in Sanskrit, right? Shunyata. Okay, so sometimes, Ben, you can just take it as making a noun, okay? So they would say the meaning of interpretation, the meaning of the art of interpretation is whether or not you take it at face value, okay? They make it a noun, okay? It's like a gerund, okay? Taking at face value or not, okay? All right. And by the way, the next statement is radical. Okay, you ready? Take a shot at it, Utpala.
So we're talking about the Mahayana collection of teachings, right? Tekpa Chenpo Ditne.
Yeah, and they say ka mayin.
Oh, yeah, those are not the words of the Buddha.
Yeah, okay. So don't forget, he's still talking about Nyentas here. So some lower schools say that everything the Buddha said was literal. Some lower schools want to divide it into literal and not literal, but they all say that the Mahayana was not the word of the Buddha, okay? Now, Nick, what would you do if someone said that?
Write a book about it?
Yeah, write a book called The 60 Verses. Write a book called The 60 Verses. And Nick, what would be a clever strategy in that book?
To show them that they actually already accept the ideas presented by the Mahayana through various methods.
Yeah. Okay. Show those lower school guys that even if you just stick to the lower school sutras, you can still prove that the Mahayana exists. Whoa. Okay. That's isn't that so Nagarjuna? All right. By the way, Utpala, I went to Toge Barwa. I tried to find anywhere where he described it. Okay.
Yeah.
And there's two references, you know. Here's the easy one, okay? Can you read this line in the big letters?
Sure. Dode tamche ni ngepe den
Which says
all of the
sutras
sutras
are
um,
ngeden.
are
You could
are
take them
literal.
literally. Yeah, all the sutras in the universe are literal. Okay.
Oh,
that
all
was
of the sutras. Okay.
Yeah, and that's the first position that was taken here. Okay, so I found that one for you in
Okay, great,
Togebawa.
thank
There it
you.
is. Your footnote can go there. But then he said something about here he says, Dode Tamje Tamiden.
Oh, gosh, all the sutras are figurative.
Yeah, meaning all the Mahayana sutras. So that's kind of the second thought here. Okay. So there's no place in Bhava Viveka where he specifically says the same wording that we see,
Okay.
but those are two sections where he discusses the question.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Section 112, Utpala.
Isn't
there.
Toke Barwa contradicting our position though in saying that the lower schools would accept it as being figurative, that the lower schools would accept the greater way as figurative?
Right, it's not figurative because it's not the words of the Buddha.
And Chuni
Well,
Lama,
that's a nice point. Yeah, that's a nice.
Chuni Lama argues about this
Same.
in my book. He says that he thinks there, and he's vague about it, but he says it seems like there are some lower school people who accept the greater way scriptures as being spoken by the Buddha, but it's fuzzy.
But would they say they are?
Yeah, right. That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. Okay. Here we go. Utpala, and who's checking you is Sugang. Sugang's in the mood to check.
Uh-oh. Deyang, depa cho ke tu kepe chene, chitrak mawatang, do depa la sokpe orangde, niente ki de ne sam shikse, question mark, marke
It should be
lenpe,
say. It should be say. Yeah.
se, marke lempe niente pa she tanye, jepa tak tek chen carmen de payinki.
Okay.
But
Okay. Deyang, depa choke to ge. This ge means to split up
Mhm.
into parts. So if we split the lower schools up in 18 parts, right?
What would-
Sarvasti Baden, etc. As discussed in Ben's text. Ben's text is his first book is one of the few places where you see it really explained. Okay. So if we follow this kind of after they split up into 18 groups, Chedat Mawa, you got the detail list and you got the sutras. Rangde means you got Buddhist groups called detail list, and you got Buddhist groups called sutras, okay? And they say only the Nying Tuki De is Sim. This doesn't mean accurate perception. It means what?
Correct.
correct.
Yeah,
Accurate,
it
yeah.
means correct. Yeah, on the nose, on dot, right? They say only the teachings in the Abhidharma and the Sutra schools are correct, okay? And Nyente She, Tanya Chepada, and then they name themselves, we're the real listeners. We're the only ones who are really listening to the Buddha, okay? They call themselves listeners. We're the only people who are really listening to Buddha. Why? Because those Tekchens, that's not even Ka.
Yeah, that's not even the words.
That's not the word of the Buddha. This is the Dani grammar case, right?
Oh, as the words.
Correct. Yeah, as the word, exactly. Perfect. Nice.
So
So,
isn't
you know, they don't
Sema
even
accurate
accept.
perception? Because it's
I'm
Agama?
saying, I'm sorry, say again.
Isn't Sema here accurate perception still because he's referring directly to Agama?
Agama. What's agama?
No,
To
here,
Rome?
Sema, when it's used with Kalen,
Hmm.
it's always gonna mean like accurate or correct teaching. Okay. Correct teaching. Okay.
Mm.
It doesn't here mean
Well,
yeah, you could say agama, but correct agama. Okay. Accurate agama. Okay. The word. Yeah.
Mm.
But sema here is an adjective meaning correct. And it's not a noun meaning accurate perception. Okay.
Okay, especially because of the ladun particle, the ra.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay.
So agama is Sanskrit for
Lum.
It's really like ka, or you know, accurate teaching. Okay. Well, Ben was referring
Teaching?
to the form of sema, which is based on believing what someone said.
Okay.
Okay. But that's not what it means here. It just means they
Right.
don't agree that the Mahayana is accurate. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But the word sema, I have to say, Ben,
Mm.
is more than accurate when it's used that way. It feels more than the word accurate. So you have to find a word, you know, that's more accurate than that conveys higher than accurate. Okay, perfectly accurate or something like that. It has that feeling. The word sema and the word I don't know, runwa are different. You know, runwa means pretty accurate. Sema means 100% accurate. Okay, so when you translate, you might want to shade it that way. All right, here we go. Utpala. Nick, what time does this class end?
Never.
That's at 9
Oh.
9 on the dot.
Okay, because I understand our sponsor just showed up and I want to say hi to him, but let's finish this. Niente.
Niente ki chamchu dundu nierwe niente par shakpa tu doki dranjuk pe shir gyurpe niente ki tekpad
Take Bawa Dog, sorry.
tekpa wadak tekchen ka mayino she korpad depar kalangur gyurte.
Okay.
Sorry.
This is a tough sentence, but it's, you know, get used to it because you're out of the elementary school. Now you're in university. Your last book was elementary school. Okay. No, actually it was kind of advanced high school. Anyway,
Yeah. that's what I thought.
it was pretty tough. People who aspire to the enlightenment of the listeners, okay, which refers specifically to the 3 tracks, okay? When you say Changchu
Uh-huh.
with Niente, it means the 5 paths on the listener track, as opposed to the
Okay.
5 paths on the self-made Buddha track or the 5 paths on the Mahayana track. So when you talk about, and I remember asking Rinpoche about this expression because it confused the hell out of me. How can you reach Changchu on a listener track? It's
Uh-huh.
not possible. When you say that the listeners are aspiring to enlightenment on their track, it means lower nirvana. Okay. So you got to understand that the word enlightenment here means a lower nirvana. Okay.
Okay.
It means the 5th path on a lower track. Okay.
A lower
Got it?
nirvana or just nirvana?
Yes.
It's actually a lower nirvana, but they don't think so. They think it's the ultimate. Okay. So when you're on the listener track and you're looking ahead into the future at your future goal, you're looking at removing all your mental afflictions. That's all. And that in that track is called Changchu. Okay, so don't get
And
confused.
and removing your mental afflictions is not the definition of nirvana?
No, that is, but
Okay, good. So I was thinking you're saying there's a lower nirvana and higher nirvana,
No,
but there's
no.
enlightenment and nirvana,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Okay,
And-
good. Thanks.
By the way, who can tell me why this makes the expression that we find in Medicine Buddha, which we also finished yesterday?
Oh,
That long sutra was finished yesterday. Why do they keep saying in that sutra, Samyak Sambuddha? Why do they keep
Oh.
saying Samyak Sambuddha? Somebody tell me.
Self-made Buddha as opposed to self-made Buddhas.
Total and complete.
Totally,
Buddhahood. Total
yeah.
and complete.
Yeah,
Complete
total, complete, and perfect Buddhahood. Okay,
yeah.
the
As opposed
translation
to
is
just nirvana.
total, good, as opposed to this quote enlightenment.
Uh-huh.
Quote enlightenment. What's that mean? It's not a real enlightenment. Okay, got it, you guys? So when you say Zope, young Dakbar Zope, Samyak Sambuddha in the Medicine Buddha teachings, they're trying to say Mahayana track enlightenment, because there is a lower enlightenment. There's 3 enlightenments and only one of them is real enlightenment. Okay, got it, you guys? It's very confusing, and I just saved you, half an hour of confusion. Okay,
Thank
Yeah.
you.
by giving you a 40-minute explanation anyway. Okay.
No.
Those who aspire to an enlightenment quote on the listener track, okay, that's what we call niente.
Oh, that's what we call listener.
Yeah,
What?
that's what we mean. When we say listener, we mean people on a lower track
Oh,
who might not accept the Mahayana, okay? All right. But, okay, Terdro, $50. Terdro. Oh, wait, I got the answer here in the English. Forget it. Cancel that book.
oh,
There's
Fred with
there's
the-
there's an idiom that's used to describe one kind of listener, which is Terdro.
okay.
And that means they spread what they heard. Who can tell me what that means?
they can teach the Mahayana Dharma,
But
but they can't practice it.
good. They spread what they heard, but they're not attracted to it. Oh,
Right.
so if you meet one of these guys, you say, "Hey, where'd you go today?" He says, "Oh, I went to a teaching by Lord Buddha." "Oh, how'd you like it?" "I'm not up for that. It doesn't. I don't like it." Well, what did he talk about? And they can tell you perfectly, but they don't want to follow it. Okay, so they're called listen and spread. Terdro. Okay. This is the drog in Takpa, meaning famous, Kirti, right? Like Losan Takpa or Dawa Takpa, Chanta Kirti, okay? Sumati Kirti, okay? So if you take people who are called spreaders, right? Like virus spreaders, right? Now I'll ask you guys a question, okay? Utpal, are you ready? If you went up to one of these guys and you said, are the Mahayana teachings spoken by the Buddha, what would they say?
No.
Wait, where did they just come back from?
Wait, they went to a Buddhist teaching
went to a
and they
teaching
said
They went to a
it's
teaching
not
by
worth
Lord Buddha.
practicing?
Yeah, they went to a teaching by Lord Buddha. Then you met them on the road afterward and you said, "Where'd you go?" And they said, "I started teaching by Lord Buddha." And you say, "Well, what did he teach?" And they said, "Well, I taught this stupid thing called Mahayana." Okay. Do you like it? No. Can you tell me what it is? Yeah, I'll tell you everything he said. Now, if you ask that guy, is that the word of the Buddha? What's he going to say?
Isn't he going to say Kama, you know?
No, he's going to say,
Section Kama, you know?
no, he's going to say, Buddha said it, but I don't like it. So now you got two kinds of listeners, Utpala.
Mhm.
Oh,
Can you
okay. So
Now
you
you
got the real, how can you call those Buddhists then? If they
Well,
don't listen to the Buddhist
yeah,
teachings,
well,
consider
then-
them worth
And
practicing.
every person who ever had a lama is not a Buddhist.
Well, yeah, probably not.
Okay, yeah. All right.
Is it that they
So,
don't like the teachings? Is it that they
they
dislike them or
don't
they
think it's-
cannot practice? They don't
Well,
know.
what do you, so Chinzong, what do you think they specifically object to? In the Mahayana, do they object to kindness or love?
No,
So what do they object to? You can tell
I
me.
guess we're talking the lower nirvana, enlightenment.
Bodhicitta.
No. Take it to the pen. Take it to the pen. Take it to the pen.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Come on. I just went to a teaching. The teacher said the pen wasn't made in a factory and didn't come from oil, petroleum. They said the pen came only from me. And then these nientes, those kind of listeners say, come on, that's too much. You
Right.
know, of course it came from a factory. It didn't come, you know, even the lower middle way wants to say it came from a factory, but 50% it's coming from me. They still want to say that. You see what I mean? So
Mhm. Thank you.
yeah, that's what they object. They object to the emptiness teachings. Even okay. All right. Okay. So Kadub J says, these kind of listeners, how could they ever kunda the ka? What's kunda?
Disrespect the word of the Buddha.
Down. Discount.
Yeah. Yeah. How could they say, how could they come back from the teaching of Lord Buddha and say, he taught Mahayana today. He taught that the pen comes 100% from me, but I can't buy it, okay? Then, but they're not gonna say, how can you say that they're gonna say there's no such thing as those teachings? You see what I mean? Kalagyur means, how can you say there's a kind of people who listen to the Mahayana, spread it to other people, and then say, Buddha didn't say it. It's not the word of the Buddha, okay? How, in the context, if you restrict yourself to the context of people who are passing on what they heard, but cannot practice it,
Yeah.
how can you accuse them of saying it's not the Buddha's teaching?
Uh-huh. Right.
They can say it's not the correct Buddhist teaching,
Uh-huh.
but the question here is whether it's ka or
Uh-huh.
not.
Yeah. Whether it's the
Did
Buddhist
it
teachings
come
or
out
not.
of the Buddha's mouth or not?
Right.
So how can you ever say that listeners in that sense who listen to what came out of the Buddha's mouth are going to say it didn't come out of the Buddha's mouth? Come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got it? So he's
Yeah.
just saying, look, there's two kinds of listeners we're talking about here. Don't forget that one of them is called virus spreader. You know, they don't like the virus, but they spread it. Okay. Got it? Okay. It's full discussion. I think. All right. Going. Well, let's do one more section here.
Te ta kyang te tar korpan depna dra chompan nyomong pa ma le par pang pa tak kyang nyomong pa chen ki mi shepe kune langway che pong ki le sok pa yipar telo.
Yeah. Now, if these guys even said that what the Buddha said is not emptiness, okay? If they reach the end of their track and they say what the Buddha said was emptiness was not emptiness, I'll ask you guys, can you reach the Changchu of a listener? Can you reach the fifth path on the two lower tracks, self-made Buddha and listener track, without seeing emptiness directly?
Not
No.
according to the higher school.
Yeah, they must have seen emptiness directly, and they must have seen the correct emptiness directly, but they don't have bodhicitta, okay? So don't tell me, okay, that they are underrating the emptiness teachings because they're not. Why? Because they got to nirvana. Okay, got it? Okay. And they cannot sopa, okay, third line, the kind of karma where you have given up the Dharma. It's not possible. They are arhats. Okay. You would have to be saying, if they rejected emptiness by the time they got to an arhat on the lower track, then you'd have to be saying that an arhat still had karma. What kind of karma? What
A
kind
negative
of
emotion karma.
the karma of rejecting the teachings, motivated by a lack of understanding of emptiness. Oh, did they reach nirvana on the lower track? Yes. Did they see emptiness directly? According to Tsongkhapa, they did, just as much as the Buddha does. Well, can they collect the karma, that special karma, which can only be collected by misunderstanding reality? Come on, no, they can't, okay? They cannot collect the karma. They cannot collect the bad karma, which only comes from misunderstanding reality, okay? Why? They're an arhat, they reached nirvana, they must have seen emptiness directly. Yeah, but they're on a lower track. Come on, that's talking about their bodhicitta or not. Okay, Got it? Okay. All right, we're gonna redo a little piece that we did at the beginning. We got one more minute. This is to our sponsor. We realize our sponsor just came on the call. We'd like to offer you this new book by Venerable Utpala and me worked on it together. This half of this 450 pages is the greatest teachings on emptiness from every school. There are 38 presentations of emptiness here, 38 arguments on emptiness. 23 are correct and 15 are purposely wrong. And they teach you how to detect a wrong explanation of emptiness, which is very valuable to understand the correct explanation of emptiness. So it's a very unbelievable method. 23 perfect arguments for emptiness from all 4.5 schools, and then 15 wrong arguments from different kinds of fools. And that's half of this book. This book, by the way, if you're not doing yoga, you could just buy this and get some exercise. It's about 10 pounds, okay? And then half of this book, this is for our sponsor, is all the greatest books on how to meditate. So it's not talking about emptiness directly. It's how to sit down, what kind of room, what kind of clothes to wear, how to breathe, how to put your hands, how to put your lips, all of these incredible details, how to eat to meditate. So there's 250 pages here on how to meditate from Kamalashila, who came to West China. He taught in West China. He debated with the East Chinese meditators. That debate is covered in here. And it's unbelievable. And by the way, John Campbell and John Brady and Aisha from Guadalajara worked extremely hard, and they got the whole Sanskrit put back together from Kamalashila. So we have the West Chinese language, but in this book, we have the whole Sanskrit of how to meditate. So, if one of you guys was bored and didn't have enough to do, and I'm talking to Word, if there's somebody out there who really wants to learn Sanskrit, there's not a better book in the world than this book, because you've got every English word and every Sanskrit word, and the Sanskrit perfectly matches the West Chinese language. So it's perfect. It's the perfect book to learn Sanskrit from. Word could teach you Sanskrit from this book. because it's complete. And we got the meditation chart in here, and we got the explanation of the meditation chart input, and we translated it. So the whole thing is here, and it's great for exercise. I've been using it while I sit here and teach to get exercise. And we just want to offer it to our sponsor and to his assistants, Tang Tang and Yi. We really want to thank you. We want to thank Tim Lowenhout, who's helping to facilitate this whole thing with the support for the translators. And this book is an offering to our sponsor. Later on this week, I'm going to offer the sponsor, the Long Medicine Buddha Sutra was finished yesterday. It's totally complete, and it's corrected according to the Chinese version. Some mistakes. Okay, yay. Okay, I'll see you guys in the evening. Nick, you have any last comments? Or?
Oh, that just real quick. Thank you, Geshe Michael. Thank you so much, our dear sponsor, for helping us to get these books to come out. I mean, this is all thanks to you. And we're very grateful for you. And so stay tuned if you would like to join online yoga. We have a class with Alex Rivas today from 9:15 to 10:30. So starting really soon.
Wait, Nick, is he going to sing during the yoga class? Because he's a great singer.
We better ask him to.
All right. Okay.
Maybe he'll sing the poses down.
Well, maybe during Asana, he could croon some Frank Sinatra. He's really good at that. He's also a fantastic translator, and their team is translating everything into Spanish with the support of Yaoli, Gibson, Emma, and the other Emily, and the other people from Taiwan. They've been amazing support for many years, and thank you for that. And Rosa van Guiten. Okay. And Alejandro and Imelda. Yay.
Right.
Thank you,
Geshe
Geshe.
Michael.
Please always continue
Good
teaching.
tonight. Oh my God, we're having fun.
So don't forget to come back at 4 p.m. Arizona time for more Mixed Nuts, and stick
Is it
around for
4
Alex's
o'clock?
class.
Is it 4 o'clock, Nick, for sure?
4 to 7, yeah, for sure.
Let me just check here.
3
Yeah,
hours.
you're right. Okay,
Yeah.
see you there.
Yeah.